Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast. My name is Joseph Sangle, one of your hosts for this podcast from the I Was Broke, Now I'm Not team. And we're excited to bring you episode number
69.
Episode number 69 here on the last Monday of October, the greatest month of the year. We love it. Yes, fall. It's awesome, and it's fantastic. And that is the voice of my co-host, Megan Hibbard.
Hello.
Are you fired up?
Yes, fired up. Happy
Today,
Monday.
we get to answer all the people's questions. We are servants of the people. We are fired up. Is it awesome or what?
It will be awesome.
And so
You're kind of
that really is the topic. I stole something
you're kind
you were
of
going to say.
stealing my thunder there.
We're answering your questions, and it's going to be great. We're going to talk about lots of unique questions that have been emailed in to us through the month.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
But first, we're going to go to that great section. You know what it is. Let's go.
Now it's time to get caught up with our current money events.
This portion of the podcast is sponsored by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. Take your finances to the next level by utilizing their financial tools and calculators. Visit iwbnin.com and click on Tools. Budgeting templates, debt freedom date calculators, retirement calculators, investing calculators, they're all right there at your fingertips, and they're all free.
That's awesome. I am so fired up about this.
You're making me a little nervous.
Halloween is this week. So I thought our current money event section would be for some scary money stuff. Do you hear that? See? I got a wolf howling off of YouTube. Isn't that great? That's the first ever sound effect.
Yeah, I think
Did you like that?
We probably could have picked a different scary sound.
Was that scary?
I don't think so.
No, okay. Well, I would be scared if a wolf was howling next to me. Anyhow, I can't wait to see how that turns out.
Oh, man.
Welcome to the podcast. Current money events section. Today, I'm going to talk about some scary money stuff. And the first thing is about dirty money.
This is so gross.
This is from real research. All money, it turns out, could stand to be laundered. The stuff is filthy. This is from Time magazine. Studies show that a solid majority of U.S. bills are contaminated by cocaine. Okay. Drug traffickers often use coke-sullied hands to move cash. Many users roll bills into sniffing straws. The brushes and rollers in ATMs may distribute the nose candy, I guess that's what they call that, through the rest of the money supply. Also found on the bills is fecal matter.
That's disgusting. That's disgusting.
2002 report in the Southern Medical Journal, showed pathogens, including Staphylococcus, on 94% of dollar bills tested. I can't believe that. If that's the case, all of America would be dead. But paper money can reportedly carry more germs than a household toilet.
Oh my
I don't believe it, but that's what they said. And bills are a hospitable environment for gross microbes. Viruses and bacteria can live on most surfaces for about 48 hours, but paper money can reportedly transport a live flu virus for up to 17 days. And as they wrote, it's enough to make you to switch to credit.
Amen. Seriously, that is crazy.
That's scary money, isn't it?
That is scary money.
Let's talk about some more on this current money event section. An estimated 200 million of U.S. currency currently in circulation is counterfeit.
Whoa.
Did you know that?
That's significant.
Tell everybody what the most common denomination of bill is counterfeited.
Yeah. The most common is 20s and 100s.
Sorry, and I don't know if we've ever received one.
A counterfeit?
At a live event.
Oh.
When people buy a book or whatever,
Maybe you don't
we
know.
give some money. I don't know. I'll have to ask our team.
You have to use the marker, don't you?
Yeah.
To like.
I don't know that we do that.
You
So
don't
if
do
you're
that.
if you're buying my books with counterfeit dollars, you're going to have bigger issues, and you're going to definitely need our book. But you're also going to need the book How to Get Out of Jail. So I don't know where that book is. But
sure
coins,
they
did
have
you
it.
know coins have ridges on their sides to help prevent counterfeiting?
That does make sense.
And on April 14th, 1865, Abraham Lincoln founded the Secret Service, not for personal protection, but to help suppress counterfeiting.
That's
And
interesting.
unfortunately, on that exact day, April 14th, that he created the Secret Service, is the day he was assassinated.
Huh.
Isn't that a weird?
What would have happened if he had created it for protection?
Yeah, he'd be safe. And we would not know the name, John Wilkes Booth. who was subsequently hanged.
Do you think that's
his
why they
crime.
switched it to protection? Because of that very
I'm
thing?
confident that was a part of it, but I'm
That
not
is
a historian.
wild.
That's crazy. And so that is scary, scary money stuff. And so I think it means get some OxyClean and wear gloves
Yeah.
and make sure that it's legit currency and be safe with your money, and you'll be able to have a lot more treats and far less tricks. And that's it for today's current money events.
That was my favorite one by
Is that
far.
nice? Yeah, that's great.
That was good. Oh no, never touching money again. Okay, for our success story today, it comes from a couple participants in our budget challenge.
Yeah, we love the budget challenge. We
yeah.
run that a couple times a year.
Yep. So they said, hey, we have been very intentional about this challenge. We want to say that it is a part of answered prayer that is continuing to unfold. We are now at the halfway mark and are seeing a difference in cash envelopes, looking each day for us at what is upcoming and what is transpired in our finances. Last month, we had 2 large expenses that was put on our credit card. Our goal was to never pay interest, but this amount was almost $1,600. With our new budget, we have already paid $500 towards it and will pay at least another $700. We may have an interest charge for next month, but it will be far less than it could have been. Our number one goal is to have 1 month living expenses by January 1st, 2020.
And that's from Mike and Chondra.
Yep.
So thank you so much for sending that in. That is awesome. We want to celebrate with you. A couple things that I want to say. I always like to comment on these.
Yes.
Number 1, phenomenal job. Number 2, thanks for emailing us and giving us feedback. That gives us inspiration to help more people and keep creating resources like these. But a couple things I want to point out that is a reason why they're having success. Number 1, they use the word intentional or become very intentional. And I like to say this, you're ridiculously in control of your life. There's so much stuff that we allow to be happening to us that you can just change today. Like for real. You're out of shape?
Start
Put on the
working
tennis
out.
shoes and go
Yeah.
walk right now. You want to lose weight? Change your diet right now.
Yeah.
You want to, your kids misbehaving, disrespectful, start putting some real penalties and consequences in place. And turns out they will get an attitude adjustment.
Yeah.
You have somebody that you have bitterness towards, choose to forgive them, and it's a choice. Make the phone call, drive over to the house, have the conversation. But at the very least, you can choose to say, I'm going to forgive. And sometimes that's a daily process. But what I would say is they've chose to be intentional. And as a result, they're starting to see amazing things happening. They got cash envelopes going. We know what that will do for that miscellaneous, unplanned, impulsive spending categories like food, like clothing, like entertainment, like
Yep.
spending money. And they were able to absorb some large expenses. And they're going to be able to avoid most of the interest towards it. So they're really getting themselves in position. They're going to be at rung number 2, which is 1 month's expenses by the end of the year. So they have clear vision for the next year. Isn't that awesome?
It is awesome.
And so way to go, Mike and Chondra. We're celebrating with you. We are fired up. Thanks for sharing your story.
Awesome. Okay. So now we're going to go into our top money questions for the month. Are you ready?
Oh, I am ready.
Okay. Question number 1. I have a question concerning refinancing to consolidate debts and reduce the amount of monthly payment outlay. However, I want to be sure it's best decision. And that's from Joe in North Carolina.
Okay. And so I don't know all the details of Joe, but I know he has a great name from North Carolina. And he's saying he has a question concerning refinancing to consolidate his debts and get a less of a monthly payment.
Right.
That can be a good decision. However, there are different ways to do that. Different ways to skin that cat, as I've heard that said before. It's kind of a terrible
That's a terrible saying.
statement.
I don't.
But anyhow, a lot of people come to me at live events and they want to consolidate all their credit cards or their debts using a home equity loan or a home equity line of credit. And that is usually a negative decision. I know that it's lower interest. However, many people do that without having changed the financial behavior and habits that led to the debt in the first place. Now they're using their home equity, and so they still have the debt, albeit at less interest. But because they've not changed the behavior or habits, they will end up starting to use those credit cards again. And before they know it, they'll be right back where they were. Plus, they'll have home equity debt. Secondly, they had unsecured credit debt that is now secured by their house. That's a problem.
Yeah.
And so what I encourage people to do is to live and operate by a budget for at least 6 months and prove to themselves that they have changed their behavior, their financial habits before they would ever consolidate with something like a home equity line of credit so that they can prevent that going right back to where they were. But if you're consolidating to a 0% balance transfer credit card, which we did an episode on about 4 or 5 episodes ago, that is a great way to consolidate like high interest credit cards because you can submit more than one card for review and potential approval. And if so, then all of your cards could go to one. They will all now be 0%. You'll have to pay less per month, and every dollar is actually going to principal. You'll be making more progress paying less money. So yes, it is a great decision, but make sure that you are living and operating by a budget so that you've stopped the behavior and habits that are leading to more debt. Great question. Hopefully that helps.
Okay, question number 2. It says, hello, do you have any book recommendations for kids looking for a kid-friendly way to teach savings, spending, debt, and giving? And that is from Whitney.
Yep, and we don't know where Whitney is from. We believe she's from Earth. And so that's the clarity that we have.
That's good clarity.
I would say the greatest money books for younger kids is Dave Ramsey's
The junior one.
junior books.
Yeah.
They are fantastic. Junior discovers giving, Junior discovers saving, Junior discovers debt, Junior discovers budgeting, I think. They're great.
Junior is discovering a lot.
Junior's doing great. And Dave Ramsey's brother, I believe, is the one that illustrates all those books.
Oh,
and
that's
it's
cool.
fantastic. He's won several major prizes for his artwork. My kids, without fail, all 3 of them have stared at those books and listened to those books being read to them at least 50 times each.
Wow.
And they love them. And we practice with them, so that's great. We practice money behavior. So that's a great one. As they get older and move into the teen years, the book that affected me most powerfully as a teenager was The Wealthy Barber by David Chilton. And we'll have links to all of these in the show notes. But The Wealthy Barber is a very interesting, easy reading book about the story of a barber. And the guy thinks that he's went to the barber all of his life, and he feels like the barber, he doesn't get paid much per haircut, and he's just not doing very well. And he comes back as an adult, and he's getting his hair cut, and he's still feeling sorry. This guy's still cutting hair, And then he realizes through a course of coming back every few weeks to get his hair cut, he learns more and more that his barber is wildly wealthy because he's learned the power of investing in compound interest. And so David Chilton, a great Canadian from our neighbor to the north, wrote that book, and it is a fantastic book. It marked me so that when I got my first job, I started investing. And so I would encourage that for your teenage child. And of course, we have what everyone should know about money before they enter the real world. And I wrote that for high schoolers and 20-somethings. I find it's really appropriate for those junior, seniors, and those just getting started on their money journey that prevents money mistakes. That's how I've written it. And so I encourage you to pick it up as well.
Awesome.
Great question from Whitney.
Okay.
From Earth.
Our next question. All right, this one's a little long, so stick with me. Okay. My question was to get your feelings on having a financial advisor. I don't remember what our financial advisor charges, but it's very low. They take a small percentage, and their model is the more money we make and have will be more for them. So it's a win-win, as they say. It encourages them to make sure our portfolio performs well. My main question was to get your thoughts on whether or not it's worth the money to have our assets professionally managed. I do like that they are experts at what they do, taxes, financial planning, and a railroad retiree. There you go.
So he must Rod from Nebraska.
Yeah.
And he's a railroad retiree, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's several layers to this question.
There is, and it's a long one.
Get your feelings on having a financial advisor. I would say a financial advisor is fantastic if you actually meet with them, if you actually follow a lot of their advice. Proverbs 4:7 is a great verse that says that the beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom, though it cost all you have, get understanding. And so what it's really saying is it's worth paying some money for wisdom.
Yeah.
So that's really what you're doing when you give up a percentage of what's happening in your fund. Number two, Proverbs 15:22 says plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. And so your advisors are one of those advisors helping you succeed. You don't say whether or not they've done well or poor or whatever for you. And I don't know your percentage that they're charging. Here are the things I would say to Rod from Nebraska. I want to make sure that the percentage is less than 1%. If it's more than 1%, you can't outrun those fees. You just cannot do it. You would do better to just choose a S&P 500 index fund over the long haul. I do like the fact that they are tax planning and financial planning, and they know your situation as a railroad retiree. That has added value. Secondly, I would want to make sure that they meet with you on a regular and consistent basis, at least quarterly if you so choose. But I would encourage you to meet with them no less than twice a year. So make sure that they are working for you by meeting with them face-to-face, hearing what they have to offer as far as where they believe the market is going to go. Recognize that you are paying them money so that they worry about it, but you don't have to. At the end of the day, remember this. No one will care about your money like you care about your money. And the way you can make sure they care as much as possible about your money like you care about your money is to meet with them and look them in the eye and make sure that you hold them accountable to that. And so, yes, you should have a financial advisor. I have a financial advisor. However, I do love this stuff, so I actually manage most of my investments myself.
That's good. All right, this next question. I like this next one. It's a good one. Okay, it says, with interest rates in decline, should I consider locking up some of my savings in CDs to secure a better rate for the next 12 to 24 months?
This is a great question.
Yep.
And, interest rates are in decline. The Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, do you know who that is?
The Federal Reserve guy.
Yeah. It's exact.
That's
you
his
nailed
title.
The exact title.
Federal Reserve guy.
The Federal Reserve Board Chairman.
Board chairman.
Yes. He is. His name is on your money right now if those bills have been printed. And right now, they've been lowering rates. They've lowered them inexplicably. They've lowered them twice this year. They may or may not lower them again. And as a result, the savings rates at our favorite banks, Marcus, Ally, Discover Bank, American Express Bank, you can find them at iwasbrokenowimnot.com under the Next Steps Area Banking. And they're our favorite banks solely for one reason, and that is because they pay the most interest. Those rates go down because it's pegged to that federal funds overnight rate. And as a result, that has declined by, 30 basis points or so over the last couple months.
Yeah.
So this is a great question to say, what should we do? So I would say this. I can't predict the weather, nor can I predict what's going to happen with interest rates. If it were my belief, I would say interest rates are going to moderate and stay about where they're at. And it's going to be a while before they start cranking them up again. And so if you have money that you don't need for the next 2 to 3 years, but it's outside of the 5-year window that makes it eligible for investing, it can be a good decision to put it in a CD. If you do put it in CDs, I recommend you ladder them. And a CD ladder is where you don't put it all in at once in one CD. Let's say you have 4 of them and you put a fourth of the money in there now, and maybe you put another one in another one now, but it expires in 6 months longer. So it's a longer term one instead of a 24-month one. It's a 30-month one. And then you wait a quarter and do it again so that when they start coming out of their terms, you've got one coming up every quarter to 6 months, every 3 to 6 months or so.
That's smart.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let's put together a ladder right now. If you wanted to put all the money in there right now, you could do a 12-month one, an 18-month one, 24-month one, and a 30-month one. And every 6 months, one of them would be coming available. And if rates have improved, you could pull it out and put it back into your regular savings account. If it hasn't, you could re-up it into another CD. Make sense?
Yeah.
I hope that helps.
All right. So for our key financial quote for today, this quote is from Solomon, and it says, "Fools despise wisdom and instruction."
Yeah. And so when I look at that, Solomon said that. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. Solomon, you're a phenomenal person if you can be referred to by one name.
That's
Solomon.
True. You're doing
right?
good.
What if it said, fools despise wisdom and instruction? Joe. And everybody knew who that was talking about. It's like Solomon was the man. The book of Proverbs is all about it. And the Song of Solomon and all that stuff. So fools despise wisdom and instruction. And so that's why we really encourage you to continue to invest in yourself. We've mentioned these books today. You know, I was looking at the title, the different topics we talked about. We talked about with our first question, debt, saving, and margin. The second one is financial education. There's books for the kids and stuff. It's financial education and positioning the next generation. It's the legacy and inheritance of knowledge. The next one was an investing question about financial advisor and fees and seeking counsel and wisdom. And the next one is about savings and maximizing the interest rate that you gain on that. And if you look at that, that's a wide variety of topics in just 4 questions.
Yeah.
That's why money is complex. It's not straightforward. It's not simple. We're trying our best to make it simple for you guys out there at the Monday Money Tip Podcast. And so one of the things that we're going to be talking about in the next episode goes right along with all of this. Tell everybody what we're going to be talking about in episode number 70.
Whew, we're getting old. Okay, our topic for next episode is the power of planning. So this is going to be an episode to help you set you up for success next year. So we're going to be talking about the many great benefits of planning for the future, and it can help you have the best financial year yet in 2020.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about planning. It's going to be so much fun. We're actually going to be talking more about our book too, 2020 Money.
Yep.
And you'll be able to find more about that, and you can buy pre-order special right now at iwbnin.com/2020. Make sure you get that pre-ordered. There's a lot of freebies that we're putting with that, and we're really excited to connect dreams with dollars. And this is yet another part of that with episode number 70, talking about the power of planning. If you don't have a plan to fail. If you have a plan to succeed. Let's go.
All right. So if you like today's episode, please help us get this podcast to others who could benefit by this episode. So you can do this by quickly rating our podcast and leaving us a review. And don't forget, on the last Monday of the month, we're going to be answering your top money questions just like we did today. So make sure you send those in. You can email them in at info@iwbnin.com, and it could be featured on the podcast. And then if you implemented one of our tips, make sure you share your success story with us. And you can email that to us as well, or Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. My personal favorite, snail mail.
Yes, please send it. We want a question via mail. That'd be awesome.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to finish off this podcast with a quote. Doubt your doubts, believe your beliefs, but never believe your doubts, and never doubt your beliefs. Get fired up.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.